Welcome back to the chit chat, chitty chitty chat chat, chitty chitty chat. Okay, I've had a lot of coffee. I've been up since 4:45 a.m. Today was a stretched session morning. You guys know that every Wednesday I host a bright and early stretch session for the Evolution Content membership. And that was today. So every day that I do that, I record a podcast right after because I'm in the zone. And that's the whole point of these stretch sessions is like opening channels of creativity and just feeling really good. And that leads me into what I want to wrap up this year's season with. Like, this was season 1 of the Chit Chat, which is crazy. And I first launched this podcast by bringing women on that I would interview, and I didn't know who they were. Like, that was I did a couple where I knew who they were, but majority, like 95% of the women that I interviewed on this show, I had no idea who they were before they got on the show, which was like a prereq. And I thought that was so fun, like just getting to know them and their business and what their craft is, what they stand for, all of those things. Like, I can't wait to do more of that going into 2026. I actually have several interviews on the books for early 2026, and I'm so excited about these women. It's going to be freaking awesome. But let's get into today's show because this is the last day of the year, and I just, that feeling when something that you create just like flows through you and you feel so lit up about it, and you don't have to force anything. You don't have to like be performative. You don't have to prove anything. You just get to be yourself, and it just hits different. Like, it just lands and everybody loves it. Well, that was what the 12 days of Chanmas have felt like for me. And I came up with this idea kind of like last minute, and I was going to make it a paid thing. I was like, I want to do this as like a paid experience where people pay for 12 intense, insanely valuable trainings. But for some reason, I was called to do it for free. And so I just wrapped up the 11th one of those, and we're going to do the 12th day this afternoon, which is Q&A, which I'm really excited about because there's a lot of questions that I'm very much looking forward to answering live. But anyway, I did 12 live trainings on online business, content strategy, mindset, and everything in between. And the thing that keeps like sitting with me is like, these trainings are worth thousands of dollars. Like, legitimately, most people would charge a pretty penny for these trainings. I gave away frameworks, I gave away strategies, I gave the entire year of experience distilled into each session. And I could have kept going. Like, I had so many ideas, I had so many things I wanted to share and teach on. But at the end of the day, what I feel is so interesting is the fact that I was called to lead this for free. And I let myself run with that, because sometimes I think we get into this mode of like, okay, but are people going to take me seriously? Or like, where is this going to lead to? And like, yes, I think that's a really smart way to do business. But sometimes it's like, I don't know, the theme inside of the Takeover Mastermind this month was Devoted December. And we do a challenge every single month inside of the Takeover Mastermind that is specific to like content and growing your business and scaling. And Devoted December was like, let's get back to just posting valuable content. Like, we don't always have to be trying to persuade people to join our world. Like, let's just be valuable for the sake of being valuable. And so that's what the 12 days of Chanmas were like birthed from. And I want to sit with that for a moment because, in my opinion, there's something so profound happening when you give from this feeling of overflow instead of like hustle and depletion, almost like desperation. Even though I don't necessarily ever, like, I truly don't ever feel desperate to get people into my offers, even if I don't have like a high enrollment rate. I don't ever feel that way, and I feel really lucky for that. But at the same time, there's moments where I feel depleted. Like, there's moments where I feel discouraged for sure. And so there's a difference for me, like serving from that place versus serving from, I have so much to give here, I'm in overflow. And when you have to show up because you can't not show up versus showing up because you have to, like, big difference. And I really, really like thoroughly enjoyed this experience, and I'm going to run it back next year. Like, it's going to be a brand tradition for me, which one of the days I trained on brand traditions and how like they're a huge deal in your business. It's honestly what I built my business on, was a brand tradition. And now I'm going to turn this into one of them. And I'm so excited about that. So anyway, I barely prepared anything for these trainings. I would show up live, and sometimes I would have like some notes on an outline like next to me so that I didn't get off track because I love to talk. But I don't say that with pride or carelessness that I didn't prepare anything. I say that with like reverence. Like, what I realize is when you've done the work, when you go all in for an entire year, when you live the lessons, when you walk through fire enough times, you don't need a lot of notes. You don't need to be like, I don't know, jamming words down people's throats. You just need to open your mouth and let your heart of wisdom speak. And that's what I did. And I am like equal parts, what I've been calling the architect and the alchemist. Like, I love business strategy. I love content strategy. I love blueprints. I love the tangibility of things. But I know that that can't be successful without the alchemizing of the woman, without the transformation of the inner work. And so I spoke to both of those things in a lot of my trainings, and that is the perfect combination of my coaching. But I would say that I feel so proud of these 12 trainings because I feel finally like I've mastered something. And I think that those 12 days really is what mastery actually looks like. Like, I've mastered what I'm doing and what I coach. And again, it's not finalized. Like, I will continuously do the work, especially because social media is always training or changing, and people are always changing, and my life is going to continue to change. And so I'm going to shift along with it. I'm going to evolve along with it. But man, I just feel so good about what I led in those 12 days. Like, I know for a fact that people are going to consume those trainings and take something away from it. And even if it's just one thing, I just feel so proud of that. And I will say, like, one thing that I didn't care about is I did not care about having like a polished presentation during these 12 days. It was not perfectly scripted. Like I said, I hardly had a plan, but the ability to show up empty-handed and still give everything away is a flex. And I'm so proud of that. Like, for 12 days I just spoke, and it just flowed, and it felt, I don't know, very easy to me, not because the work itself is easy, but because in 2025, I've become the kind of person for like whom this work is natural. Like, I don't have to force this anymore. I don't have to try to shove myself into a box. And at one point in time, I felt like I did. And I almost think that like I earned my stripes this year. And I posted about this the other day, but I remember in 2024 trying to really like speak like an authority, trying to really perfect my launch strategy, trying to make sure that I sold the right way. Like, I was so rigid with things. And I think we all start there, and I think we have to. But the ability to continuously work at it, the ability to not give up, is what has led me to this moment. And I think there's a difference between like working hard at those things and then working from your essence. And I sometimes think we spend so much time in the former that we forget that the latter is even possible, but it is. And that's what I want you to hear in this episode today. That if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I feel like things aren't working quickly for me, or things feel really rigid, like things don't feel flowy for me, I'm telling you right now that eventually, if you stay on the path long enough, if you stay on this path long enough, if you develop the skill of long-term vision versus needing instant gratification, the thing that once required, or maybe right now, the thing that requires all of your effort is going to become the thing that you do with your eyes closed. And you're going to be amazed. And I hope that when the day comes, and it might be this time next year if you keep doing it, if you keep going, I hope that you take a moment to celebrate the fact that, like, holy crap, like, you're really freaking brilliant. And I hope that you take a moment to be like, damn, I did that. So today is the last day of 2025, and I'm literally sitting here thinking about who I was 365 days ago. I have a full body 90-minute massage today just to celebrate the end of the year. But I'm thinking about who I was 365 days ago versus who I am right now. And I'm here to tell you, I barely recognize that past version of myself. Like, I am not the same girl. I saw this quote recently that it's going to stick with me forever, but it stopped me in my scroll, which doesn't happen very often. And it was on a reel, and I saw it, and it said something like, success is like black coffee. It's strong, it's intense, and it's not for everyone. And I was like, holy crap. First of all, I love black coffee. So I must love success. But that's nonetheless, I was like, that's so true. Like it's really that is the truth of success is like it's not for everyone and it's strong and it's intense. Like you can't get out of this untouched. And it just hit different because this year in 2025, I'm not afraid to say this. I've said this multiple times. Like it was the most challenging year for me personally, and it taught me that success is not about a highlight reel. Like I used to always think that success would be me mentioning my milestone achievements or having trophies for as a metaphor, like having things to hold and saying like, look at me, I did it. I achieved this. And I feel the exact opposite. Like I do not feel that way anymore. I feel like success is truly, and I know it's cliche, but it's honestly about whether you can handle the bitter taste of challenges in your life, whether you can sit with the intensity, if we're talking about the black coffee, um, like whether you can be okay with the fact that not everyone is going to understand you or your path or even celebrate your choices. So, black coffee, no cream, no room, no sugar, no chasing it with water, just the raw, unfiltered experience of building something that actually matters. And I actually started drinking coffee when I was 14, which my husband finds ridiculous. I remember I would wake up for high school, I couldn't even drive, and I would make a cup of coffee in the kitchen and I would sit on the couch. And my sister at that point was driving me to school. She was a senior when I was a freshman, and she would play like the loudest music ever, which I honestly didn't mind, but it was just like I wasn't a morning person at that point in time. I don't think any teenager is. And I was just annoyed. But my coffee was the one thing that always brought me joy. And now I think back then I was using cream, but for the last, I don't know, probably 10 years, I just take my coffee black, and I'm very picky with my blackie with my coffee. Like it has to be very strong. And I don't like bean water. No, I need it strong. So anyway, I have another quote that has been my companion actually through this entire year. And the quote goes, "You don't have to win all of your fights, but you do have to fight all of your fights." And that just feels like, yeah, that's right. That's true. Like this year, gosh, it like, oh man, I don't even know how to summarize it. It broke me open in ways that I could have never predicted or expected, truly. Like just when you think that you have a good handle on life, you have a 2025 year. And I'm laughing, but it's not even funny. Like it was a tough year for me personally, and the kind of year where I quite literally questioned everything. There was a moment where I mean, there's still moments where I'm like, I need to get back on antidepressant medication. And I've wondered, like, am I even strong enough to handle this? Am I worthy enough to handle what's happening? Am I enough, period? But I will say I'm so proud of the way that I fought. And I showed up to every single battle, even the ones that I lost. Well, especially the ones that I lost. But I'm so damn proud of who I became because of what I went through. And I can specifically remember last New Year's Eve and like the beginning of 2025, I even wrote this on my vision board. My husband and I create vision boards every single year on New Year's Eve. We've been doing it for like 4 years. But I remember asking for something specific, and I asked, like, God, make me a leader. And I wanted to be this well-respected woman by other badass women. And I wanted to be the kind of person that other powerful women would look at and say, yes, her. Like, she's the one. I need to follow her. And that's what I was desiring. That's what I wanted. I still want that. But the universe, I feel like, said back to me, like, okay, but you're going to have to earn that. And that's what I went through this year. The demons that I faced, the parts of myself that I had to confront, the old versions of me that I truly had to let die, all of it was molding me into becoming a better leader for the women who have also faced those things. For like me to be a leader who is more equipped to hold space for women who have faced tough times, yet they never gave up. They actually went through it and became better because of it. And I hesitate to even say like they rose from the ashes or they overcame the obstacles, because I don't even see it that way anymore. Like it's not about the overcoming. I don't even know if I could, like, even to this day, I don't feel like it's ever been about overcoming what I faced. It's always going to be a part of me, and it's always going to cause pain what I faced in this last year. But I do feel like it's about just using it and creating art with it. Because here's what I know now that I feel like I did not know then. You and me, we cannot lead someone else through a terrain that you have not walked yourself. You cannot hold someone's pain if you haven't transmuted your own. And you can't, what I do in my work is like, all I want to do is call other women into their power. And I know that I couldn't call women into their power if I hadn't yet claimed mine first. Oof, that makes me like emotional a little bit. But this sounds like so deep, and it is so deep, but it has everything to do with building a business. It has everything to do with what we do in an online business as coaches, mentors, thought leaders. And I truly believe more than ever, I've always felt this way. Like if you look into my old notebooks from years ago, when I was even in network marketing, I would write this out. But more than ever, I believe your business is only going to grow as much as you do. Like it's all about human progression from the inner work, and your capacity to receive is directly tied to your capacity to become. And the version of you that wants a $500,000 a year. So next year my goal is to make $500,000 in my business. That version of me is not the same person who is recording this right now, for example. Like I'm going to have to become that version of myself first. And I'm fully prepared for that. I mean, prepared is not the best word, but I'm ready for it because I know now that becoming is not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be linear, and it's definitely not what you think it's going to be. It's harder, and it's way more worth it than you could ever imagine. So let's talk about 2026. So that was 2025. When we talk about 2026, I have a big goal. My monetary goal is $500,000 in business. And I don't set that goal from like this ego perspective. I don't even really, I'm detached from the money portion of itself, because I look at that goal and I see that as, I know there's things that will go into that, filtered into that, of things that I have to navigate. And I'm saying it because I fully believe that I'm going to get there. Like I can see that, I can feel it. I know who I need to become to make that happen. But here's what's different this year. So I've always set personal goals like this, and I hope that you do too. I think it's really important, whether that's like a number or a milestone, a revenue target, like it doesn't matter. But one thing that I've never done is I've never set a goal for what I want for my clients. So moving into 2026, and this is part of like, okay, if I'm going to make $500,000 in my business, I'm going to have to do things differently. And so I shifted my goals a little bit. So my goal for 2026 is that any woman who steps foot into my world this year will also, in 2026, create a sustainable 6-figure business by the end of the year. That is the goal. And I feel like that's very doable. And I honestly woke up to this the other day. We had a planning session for the Takeover Mastermind, and I asked them to tell me what we went through an entire planning session. It was like a 2-hour long call, but part of that was, what's your revenue goal? And someone actually even said on the call, like, why is this the hardest part? And some of them lowballed their revenue goal. I couldn't believe it. Like my mind was truly blown. I was like, geez, I mean, it's one thing to like have like a $100,000 year in reality, but to set a goal is like, that should be your bare minimum, in my opinion. Like shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars type thing. So then that's where this goal came from. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm making it a goal. Like I don't take on the responsibility of like, I'm getting you all there, but I will be guiding every single woman in my world there. And that's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, but that is my commitment, because I now know what it takes to get there. I've walked that path, and I'm proud to say that I did it in a year that was tough for me. And now I get to help others do that because I'm fully equipped to do that. And I believe with everything in me that I am the coach to make that happen. So in 2026, I also, of course, have like other measurable goals, of course. Like I deep dive into my entire business and my personal life. I have measurable goals, like metrics, milestones, all the tactical things. But when I look at 2026, what matters most to me in this next year is like pure happiness. And I remember thinking this actually after Q1 of 2025. I set a goal for the summer. Like it was a tough start to the year. And I was like, okay, in the summer of 2025, my goal is just to find joy again. Like I just need to find the love of life again. And I'm a person that really does love life, but I lost it for a minute there. And it was tough to even find it again in 2025. But 2026, it's like if 1 year from now, on December 31st, 2026, I can look back and say, dang, I experienced so much joy, then regardless of anything else that happens, I will feel immensely fulfilled. And that is the goal, is to just make room for joy, even in the tiniest of moments. Like it doesn't take a lot for me. And so that's a big goal of mine, is like, I already know I'm going to hustle. I already know I'm going to grind. I love working hard. But one thing that I know is like, I don't have to prove myself until I'm empty. Like it's just about joy, the kind that is going to come from building something aligned. And that's not just my business. That's my life. That's my relationship. That's my health, like the kind that comes from doing the work that lights me up, and the kind of joy that is going to come from truly becoming the version of myself that I always knew was possible and I would dream about, but now I'm going to turn it into a reality. So I love New Year's. Like I just love this time of the year. I love the time between the holidays and the new year, which is coming to a close now, but there's like this energy in the air that I feel is truly unmatched. And it's like this collective universal inhale and like a pause before a big leap. And so I'm excited for all of us because whether your 2025 was the best year of your life or the hardest, you made it and you are here and you're listening to my show, which I greatly appreciate. And if you're here, I can almost guarantee that you are still choosing to grow, to evolve, to become. And that's everything. That's it. So here's what I want to wrap up this episode with today. I want to remind you that regardless of your year that just happened, and regardless of what you have planned for the next year, in this moment right now, you have wisdom that is already inside of you. You don't need more information. You simply need to trust in what you already know. And your quote unquote becoming, which I've talked about a lot this year, just a reminder is that your becoming is not linear. The hard years, the hard moments are what's going to shape you into the leader that you're meant to be. And so there's this moment where it's like, I'm grateful for it all. And then I would also say, whatever your goals are, they are completely valid, and they can be big, they can be small, they can be internal, external, measurable, or not. But what matters the most is that they're your goals. And then the last piece to all of this is my joy is not a luxury. It's not the thing that you get to experience after you've achieved everything or after you've arrived. Your joy is actually the fuel. It's the foundation. It's where you start. It's the whole fucking point. So, as we close this year out and we step into the next year, I am raising my black, strong, intense coffee to you, to the fighters, to the builders, to the elevated woman who refuses to give up, even when giving up would probably be easier, and to the women who are becoming. Here's to 2026. Let's make this unforgettable. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And if this resonated with you, I would love if you wanted to share this with someone else, or if you wanted to maybe DM me your intention for 2026 so I can cheer for you, or if you want to leave a 5-star review and a comment, I will greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I love you so much. I will see you in 2026.